talking to the head lacrosse coach at the University of Detroit Mercy, Chris Coleman. Chris is coming off a tough loss all the way down at Mercer, down in Georgia. 16-12, am I correct, Chris?
Yep, that
And
was
that's
it.
I guess we'll start with, we're going to talk about the bus ride for a couple seconds. But my question to you is, what was good and what was bad about the game?
Our guys play hard. It can never fault their effort. It was a long week going to Ohio State and back in the day, and kind of having to deal with a Big Ten team on a Tuesday, and not having a lot of travel there, and then getting up in the morning, early in the morning, and our bus kind of had a screw up in the way it was scheduled. So we had 3 hours sitting around after a 4 a.m. wake up. We didn't get on the road till about 8 o'clock, hit some Atlanta traffic, and didn't get all the way into the hotel till about 10 o'clock at night. And, most, I would say, average kids would give up in that scenario. But I can tell you where, we didn't have, the sharpness that we needed early on, and had to kind of crawl back, and for guys not to have any pregame practice shooting, goalies not really getting shots the day before at in the South, in a different turf field, in a different stadium. I can't ever fault their effort and their intensity, and I think that's pretty special. But skill wise, it's just hard to kind of get out there at a Division I level and compete early on. So we kind of dug ourselves into a hole that we would kind of crawl almost out of, and then we would punch them, and then they would kind of give us a punch back, and create a margin again. So we never kind of got to where we needed. To credit to their game plan, they did a nice job with 10-man riding and executing their game plan. For a team that had a new coaching staff, they've made some adjustments, and they did a nice job with it.
Without being negative, but still talking and trying to get an honest kind of conversation, 16 hours in a bus, if you're just going to vacation in Florida, is a hard ride. Now you're asking young men to put that time in and to make that long drive.
It's tough. It's we're gone for 48 hours, and 24 hours of it is on a bus. It's not like we haven't done that before as a team in the history of our program. So I think that heritage of toughness and handling it mentally and emotionally is fine, but we're in a much better league, and the teams are pretty good. So we're hoping to adjust that moving forward, and do the best we can. But I have to credit the kids' attitude, the leadership, and the way they handled themselves. I just wish we could do more.
Here's my question. It's a matter of cost, obviously. If you take a bus there and back, is it flying double the cost, or is it more than double?
Triple
The cost?
Yeah.
So it does become a matter of financial support. What happens if the game against Utah coming Saturday were in Salt Lake and it wasn't? Would you be flying to Salt Lake, or would there be compensations?
Yeah, we're flying to Jacksonville, and we're flying to Utah, or we're flying to Air Force. So when we have to fly, we have to fly. I would, Mercer's about 2 hours north of Jacksonville, so it's on that cusp. And I hopefully like to travel or like to fly to be competitive, but that wasn't in the cards with where we're at and in terms of our support. So we had to do what we have to do.
Is asking as a coach at a Division I level, is asking for a raise or more money for a program as difficult as it might be in the real world, in the regular employment retail world?
Well, we all know kind of where education is right now, and the trends of where colleges are. So, to be financially smart, I think everybody's tightening their belts at every college in America to be smart, looking at enrollment trends and things like that. So, yes, it's hard, and you got to fundraise and do the best you can with it. So, we're just going to continue to do the best we can with it.
I asked that question because Maryland plays at Virginia this past week, and on television they're remarking that it's the largest home crowd for a game in probably 25 years at the University of Virginia, and he thought something over 7,000. Well, if they were still paying ticket prices, that's enough for a football program to buy some hot dogs. So there's a disparaging level, and I guess I'm trying to make the point that what is video manager money for the University of Michigan might be 2 assistant coaches for you. And so I sometimes don't think people realize the difference in the disparaging level of of cost for a program. And your kids are just as important to you as the football program is at any university.
Oh yeah, and I mean, think about it. University of Michigan sells $1 million of hot dogs every football game, right? So it's an interesting and different level. And again, I love the fight. I love to try to figure it out. I wish we could have figured out a better situation, put these kids in a better situation for Mercer. We're going to work on that moving forward. But I have to give credit to their attitude. And the fight and culturally where they're at as a group. So
okay, well, you start a big time game while Utah's coming in on Saturday. Yeah, it's a noon game right there at UD downtown. And just talk briefly about Utah. That's a great program. They've been around as a varsity program, I think, 6 years now?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Coach McMinn and his coaching staff. They have a relentless style that's very fun, very fast, very skilled. And they're a lot of fun to watch. Enjoy game planning against them, watching their film. They are they play a style that is so unrelentlessly fast. Mistakes are okay, but the right mistakes are okay, and they just continue to push. And it's a lot of fun to play against. It's fun to watch, and it's going to be we're going to try to have as much fun with it as we can and put ourselves in a position to win.
Hang on 1 second, guys. You're just to a dull roar. I'm trying to do a TV interview. Anyway, so here's my question. Brian Holman, the former coach at Utah who started the program with Marcus and some of the guys that were in that coaching staff, was probably one of the better playing staffs that ever put together. A lot of PLL players. Andrew comes in from Robert Morris. They got a great program there. He had a pretty good stint as the head coach there. Do you see a difference between those two programs and the way they're played? Because obviously Brian was recruiting, more different kind of player than maybe the coach is playing now. So could we expect a different kind of play from Utah?
Yes and no. I mean, I still think most of those kids are probably Holman recruits, right? But Drew's and his staff, they just have a different style about it. They're so positive in the way they do things. It's never negative. You never hear a negative word out of them, and they just continue to push. It's like relentlessly positive and relentlessly fast, right? So you got to be ready for it. So do they play a little bit faster? Yeah. Do they play a little bit more fun? I think they probably play a little bit more fun. Do they make more mistakes? Yes, but boy, do they have more transactions in the game than the old staff. And other than that, it's pretty close. I think it's when you're in the mountains like that, right? It's good to run, right? You got those mountain lungs. So the faster, the more running and the more transactions should be in their favor.
Well, acclimation to elevation is huge, especially I'm from the ski world. So you take our kids out west, we would, we do a number of things to get them in the first couple of days. They're shot because it's just a different, you're playing at 6 or 7 or 8,000 feet. You're normally at sea level. I don't know what it is on a percentage standpoint, but I'll guarantee it's 15 or 20%.
Yeah.
You can get your lungs settle away.
I've read a lot about it. You're either supposed to give yourself a full month or you're supposed to fly in the day of and compete. And that's your two best options. So even being there 12, 18 hours before you play can really have a effect on you. And that's just something you have to overcome.
No doubt. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck. We will we had a chance to broadcast the game on Saturday. We're looking forward to that. And it'll be fun to watch them play because, like you said, they get up and down the field. So we wish you the best opportunities to put a win up on the board.
Thanks so much.
Welcome back. We're talking with Utah head coach Drew McMinn, and you guys are headed to Detroit for a ASUN matchup with University of Detroit Mercy here in town, and long way to come from where you've been, but some thoughts on coming to Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, second contest here in the ASUN now that we're getting into conference play, and certainly looking forward to making the trip. We're coming off a home game this past Saturday here, so for us the travel is certainly more of the norm and what we're used to, with mainly heading out east for most of our away contests. So, but excited to get back and hit the second game of the ASUN conference here.
Do you have the hardest non-conference schedule in the country? Denver, Marquette, Vermont, Hopkins, and Rutgers.
Yeah, we're up there. I mean, we tried to put ourselves up against the best early on, and with having 9 games in conference and essentially only 5 out of conference, we want to really test ourselves as much as we could before getting into conference play.
It seems in the ASUN, great goalies have had a chance to be pretty good coaches. We talked to John Galloway earlier. Obviously, you were a great goalie at Providence. So my question is, you guys putting up some numbers, or as a goalie, are you an offensive guy or defensive guy?
Yeah, so I mainly handle our offense here, and that's what I've been sticking to for a number of years now. I think after getting scored on enough times throughout my career, just decided to kind of flip sides. But started out a little bit more, on the defensive side for my first few years as an assistant, and then really been focused more on the offensive side of the ball for a number of years now.
You come in and see a team you're playing on the road that's 0-4 or 0-5. What does it give you any thoughts, or you basically prepare the same way you might?
No, we prepare the exact same way, and Detroit's still a very strong opponent. And big thing we talk to our guys about is how it's a small difference week in and week out, from one team to the next. And there's teams that have strong records that maybe aren't playing as well, but have had results go their way. And on the flip side, there's teams like Detroit that have certainly shown high level lacrosse, and just haven't had the ball bounce their way yet. But for us, we really keep the focus internal and making sure that we're putting forth our best effort no matter who it is that we're up against. Yeah.
I talked to Chris Cullen, the head coach, yesterday, and Chris, that 16-hour bus ride all the way down to Mercer, which is 2 hours south of Atlanta, and then you're on the bus, you're gone for 48 hours, but you're on the bus for 30 of those hours. That's a tough way to travel.
Yeah, I get asked a lot about our flights, and I don't miss those types of bus rides. So the fact that we fly and then typically have a pretty short bus ride is all right with me.
I asked the question because you guys, this was originally a night game, and now you're back to noon. So I'm guessing it gets you a chance to get back to Utah that same afternoon, same evening.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, typically for this year, actually, every trip we're heading back right after the game where we don't have to stay overnight, which makes it nice to get the guys back at a decent time. And of course, on the way back, we have the time change work in our favor, so it helps a little bit as well.
This is your second year. You took over for a pretty stellar coach who just got a PLL job, and he's done a great job. Are the players, Brian Holman's players, are still on that roster? You don't exactly coach the same way. So how does the transition happen for you when we look at taking a job and you start with the players you have, and then obviously you go get the players you get, or are there similarities between the two programs?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we just felt very fortunate to come in and just have really high character kids, and really the type of culture that that was easy for us to transition with. And that's, to me, number one, and what's at the foundation of everything. And I don't think we could have gotten better than what we did. So that box was checked. And then stylistically, we felt like the guys, obviously, again, being under a different staff, they still adjusted very well to our style of play. And we're much more of a transition heavy team, and our guys, we have some guys that didn't really play that way in the past before we arrived, but again, they really have adjusted and gotten on board with our style.
As a Big Ten guy, they just opened a brand new stadium in Ohio State, which is unbelievable. But I keep pointing out to the guys from the Midwest here, if you've never played on your field and the views you have, I'm not sure there's a better field in the country. There may be better stands, there may be better facilities around it, but I still think you have the best field in the country.
Yeah, I obviously have a bias, but I would certainly agree with you, Greg. It's hard to beat the backdrop that we get. Sometimes you catch yourself just staring off into the views, but you got to refocus back onto the field there. But yeah, it's hard to beat with the scenery that we have.
How is lacrosse briefly in Salt Lake and in that area? It's not Denver yet, but it's really close, is it not? They're really developing talent there. Yeah,
it's exploding. And I think it's a testament just to the coaching in the area. I think being, in a place where it's, an attractive destination, there's a lot of younger people that have moved into the area, and some transplants that, are from the East Coast and have pretty solid backgrounds in the sport. And, when you get that type of coaching at the high school level and at the youth level, my daughter's 8 and they have former Division I players that, are coaching their teams. So, as the level of coaching is a big part of how areas grow. And I think that's just a testament to the quality of coaching that there is here.
One of the things that I know for sure about your staff that's really cool is that everybody that's had come across you, both at Robert Morris and now at Utah, you're the happiest coach on the planet. You're the antithesis, the opposite of what a Vince Lombardi might have been. Everybody loves the way you are so positive, and that's the word that always comes out of there. Where did that develop?
Yeah, I mean, I think just having an approach that, through the years of studying other coaches and, of course, having to come into my own personality, it's just, what we feel is what puts the guys in the best position to stay motivated and be successful. And I know as a player, and I'm sure you can attest to it, Greg, I mean, we all go through our battles and struggles where, you're trying to keep your passion and, love for the sport infused into everything that you do. And that's, probably one of the biggest challenges we all face as athletes and coaches. And, for us, I've just always felt like if we can instill an environment and a culture where there's positivity and guys love to do what they're doing and play the game at a high level, then, that's going to make us perform at our best. So there's certainly times where I'm not as positive as you can imagine, but, try to keep an overall theme of just, keeping things positive and fun in everything that we do.
If I asked mom or dad where that was a learned experience, was that mom or dad that taught you that?
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been my own experiences just going through my playing days and,
right.
Kind of working through. But no, I was always supported. I mean, with my brothers and my family and my parents, I mean, there was never really a criticism approach towards things. It was always just have fun and, do things as good as you possibly can at all times.
That's great. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you busy. I know how busy coaches are. So we'll see you in Detroit coming Saturday, and best of luck and have a safe trip.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me.